Hello, and welcome to Lesson 1. Today, we are going to discuss the basic principles of verb tenses and simple tenses. Verbs actually have many different categories, but two general categories are used to group them. They are the lexical verbs and the auxiliary verbs. Lexical verbs can be further classified into 7 categories, while auxiliary verbs are classified as helping verbs and linking verbs. The first two categories of lexical verbs are regular and irregular verbs. The difference between them is the way their endings change when they are converted into their past tense. Regular verbs in the past tense often end with ED, while irregular verbs do not. In the sentence, she looks in the mirror, the main verb looks is a regular verb. The past tense of look is looked, so in the past tense, the sentence could read, she looked in the mirror. On the other hand, buy is an example of an irregular verb. It undergoes irregular spelling changes in its past tense. It does not end with ed. The past tense of buy is bought. You could say she buys a mirror in the present tense and say she bought a mirror in the past tense. But we must note that not all irregular verbs undergo a change in spelling in the past tense. For example, the verb cut stays the same in all tenses. Next we have the transitive and intransitive verbs. Both transitive and intransitive verbs denote an action. Note that any verb can be transitive or intransitive depending on its usage. The difference is that a transitive verb needs an object to receive the action, hence the name transitive. The act of the verb is transformed into an object. An intransitive verb still denotes an action but does not require an object for an action to be done upon it. For example, Sentence 1. Kiara drove her car to the market. The main verb is drove. The receiver of the action of drive is the car. Sentence 2. Kiara drove down the road. In this sentence, the verb is still drove, but a receiver has not been specified. Kiara can drive a car, but Kiara cannot drive a road. An exercise will be posted in the next slide. Try to see if you can identify whether the following sentences contain transitive or intransitive verbs. It is important to know that there are verbs that denote an action, while there are verbs that denote a state. These verbs are classified as dynamic or stative verbs. Dynamic verbs express activities, actions that we do or perform. For this reason, they take progressive verb forms. Static verbs, also called stative verbs, express states that exist. No action is taken. For example, Charlene became tired of his antics, or Laurie seems sad. In the first sentence, the verb becoming can be complemented with any other adjective. In the second sentence, Laurie seems sad, you can cry or act with many mannerisms to show sadness, but you cannot act sadness as it is. Next, we have auxiliary verbs. We will begin by discussing the linking verbs. Linking verbs connect the subject of a sentence with information about itself. Linking verbs often express states of being. Here's an example. The sky became dark. In this case, became is the linking verb because it connects the description dark back to the subject, which is sky. Other examples of linking verbs include appear, remain, and to be. The question with linking verbs and auxiliary verbs is, what is the difference between a linking verb and an auxiliary verb? A linking verb is a verb that connects the subject with an adjective or a noun that describes it. For example, I am a singer. The verb am connects the subject I with the noun singer. Another, she became angry. The verb became connects the subject she with the adjective angry. Amy turned red. The verb turned connects the subject Amy with the adjective red. An auxiliary verb, also called a helping verb, is a verb that is used together with the main verb of the sentence to express the action. The formula for this is the main verb plus a helping verb equals a complete idea. For example, we have eaten. Have is the helping verb and eaten is the main verb. They are used together to express the action. Another, she has been studying all morning. Has and been are the helping verbs and studying is the main verb. They are once again used together to express the action. In conclusion, the difference between a helping verb and a linking verb are as follows. The linking verb is used to connect the subject with something that describes it. For example, I am tall. I in the sentence is described as tall, while the helping verb is used together with an additional main verb to express the action. I am running. I in the sentence, although it uses the same verb am, is not described as running but is currently doing the action of running. Therefore, the above examples show that the same word or same verb can be used as a linking verb as well as a helping verb. Our next lesson for today dwells on the simple tenses. Just to get this out of the way, the simple tenses is a category of verb tense. It covers the simple past tense, the simple present tense, and the simple future tense. The three simple tenses expresses facts or habitual activities. Unlike the other tenses, the simple tenses describe actions without specifically stating whether the actions are completed or ongoing. Let us discuss the roles of the simple tenses beginning with the past tense. The simple past tense describes a completed activity that happened in the past. In other words, the activity started in the past and ended somewhere in the past. An example of this sentence is, I ate some chocolates last night, and I went home after class. The next simple tense is what we call the future tense. It is relatively simple. It sits on the end of the timeline opposite from the past tense. It states verbs that are going to happen in the future. For example, I will order 1 large cup of caramel macchiato when I arrive at a coffee shop. Another example is, I am going to cook my meal after class. The last simple tense is the present tense. The tense is quite complicated compared to the other tenses. Contrary to the past and future tense, the present tense has the three basic usage. They are as follows. Usage 1 denotes that it is used to describe facts and habits. For example, Lee loves pies. That is a fact. Another, I play chess on Tuesdays. That is a habit. The second usage is to describe scheduled events in the future. Note that even though it states future events, the action will be done on a specified timeline. For example, the plane arrives at 7 o'clock. Although the plane has not yet arrived, we know that its arrival happens at 7 o'clock, which means it's a progressing event in that particular timeline. Another example is, the sun rises at 5:30 tomorrow. The sentence denotes that the sun will be rising tomorrow but state it as a present event, tomorrow's 5:30 timeline. Usage 3 is to tell stories, particularly jokes, to make your listener or reader feel more engaged with the story. An example of this is, a skeleton walks into a bar and says, "Give me a beer and a mop." The verb walks in this sentence is stated in the present timeline to engage the listener. That ends our discussion on the simple tenses, and I hope you have learned something from this review of the basic principles of verbs. The next frames will flash exercises related to our lessons today. Answer them and check your work, and improve on what you believe are not your strong suits. I hope you have learned something from our lesson for today, and God bless you.